What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Live show number 2 of The Jungle. We're going to get into some NBA. We're going to get into a lot of the NFL this weekend. We're going to spend a half an hour together going through props for NBA, going through a couple of games tonight. Got a surprise tonight in the NBA that I think you might like, and where I am on sides in terms of everything this weekend. Let's wait till more people come in, then we'll get rolling. What's going on, guys? Say hi once you pop in here. We're about to get rolling in a minute. All right, so what I covered in my video in the NBA today in terms of props, I just want to recap quickly. I got Norman Powell, Clippers tonight, over 21.5 points. I don't know what's going on with James Harden, man. He's such a goofball, but you can't back his assists, you can't back his points. One thing we know that Derek Jones is going to get his 10. I like that tonight. And Norman Powell's going to get at least 20. I like over 21.5. I like Jalen Duren of the Pistons over 11.5 rebounds. Huge EV on that bet. Pinnacle's got it at minus 128. It was plus money for a little bit. It was plus 110, I think, to start. Now it's minus 105 because money's coming in on it for us. I like that a lot. 17 rebound chances a game, Jalen Duren. I like his double-double too, but when he bet his double-double, I found last year I did a lot of that. There was a ton of him getting the rebounds, but not the points. So I'm back in his rebounds here. I'm big into the EV, as you guys know. And there was some massive EV on that. I like fading Terry Rozier tonight. We're going under 16.5 points. Scary Terry with the Heat, under in 7 straight. The more Tyler Hero's shooting and Tyler's starting to warm up, man, even though Jimmy Butler's out, Terry's just not scoring for them. I've been pretty good with him this year. I faded him 4 times, won 3 of them. Faded his rebounds once and hit his points once and his assists once. Only time I lost was on his assists another time. But I like fading him again today. But there's a couple sides that I like today. I don't do a lot of side NBA bets. But I like Washington plus 9 against the Hawks. I like these Wizards tonight. I really do. Atlanta is someone that plays up and down to their level of competition. You saw him beat the Celtics without Trae Young. You'll see him stumble against teams like the Wizards, teams like the Hornets. And the way that these Wizards are playing, it's pretty interesting lately. Jordan Poole is, whatever. But Koulibaly, I like him. I like Sires. I like Carrington. Carrington was one of the league leaders in assists as far as rookies go up to last game. But Carrington assists is a good prop to keep an eye on. But I like them tonight. I think that they can keep it within 9 against the Hawks team that truly, truly only kind of plays up and down to the level of their competition. Now, everyone asks the big question, man, who's going to beat the Cavaliers? 13-0, 4th best start in NBA history. A lot of people like the Bulls to do it tonight. But I think that's kind of a sanctimonious play. And I don't think people really would be saying that. Cavaliers are unbeatable. I don't know, man. I don't think a lot of people would be saying that the Bulls would beat them tonight if they're not undefeated, because what happens is when someone's undefeated like that, people look at this guy, oh man, this is the game. This is the game. Becomes a fun story that you want to follow. Now, I think the Bulls with the 11 points today are a good bet. I don't think Cleveland beats them by more than 11. I think they probably win, but not by more than 11. Here's my biggest reason why. One word: pace. This Chicago Bulls team is a lot different than last year. A lot different. In fact, they're playing at the fastest pace in the NBA. Last year was a lot different. But with Zach LaVine back this year, Patrick Williams playing a little more intensely. You got Ayu coming off the bench for less minutes. That means he's up and down like crazy when he's on there. And Alex Caruso is a good player. He's a good guard, but Josh Giddey speeds it up a little bit more. Okay, Kobe White's got more of a role. And without DeMar DeRozan, I like DeRozan, great shooter, and we'll talk about him in the Kings in a little bit, what I like about him being on the Kings, because I like them today against the Timberwolves, getting the 1.5. But without DeMar DeRozan, it's a little more of a fast-paced, move the ball up and down the court offense. DeMar DeRozan's a guy you stop, You run the offense, you set him up, and he shoots his mid-range. That's all fine and dandy. But the way the Bulls are playing is a little bit contradictory to what the Cavs like to do. The Cavs with their big men, Jared Allen, Mobley, they play a lot of defense. They work the ball inside. They work it out to the wings. Garland's going to bring it up, or Mitchell's going to bring it up. The other one's going to sit on the side and go for the three. But I think that the Bulls will push a pace tonight that make the Cavs play a little bit differently. And no, I don't. I think the Bulls can beat and cover. You like Patrick Williams, 2+3, says Will Jackson. Well, I don't know if they're going to beat them. They certainly can. But I feel very comfortable taking 11 points with that Bulls team. So that's what I'm on in the NBA today. I like Powell. I like Duren. I like Rozier. And I like the points with the underdogs. I like the Bulls with the 11. And I like Washington with the 9. I think Atlanta's going to play down to an aggressive young Washington team tonight that's actually pretty talented, is going to be more talented. Now, I want to get into the NFL here. And, guys, the way that I bet and the way that I've become successful sports betting and actually turning a profit, I talk about being a 3%er. 3% of people making money long-term, or 3% of people who bet on sports make money long-term. NBA Cup futures pick. I like that. I will get to that in a minute. I like that a lot. And a lot of stuff with the NBA futures pick, that's a good question. Comes down to who wants it, man. Like the Lakers wanted that. The Lakers needed something that, that's why they won that last year. I think it meant something to them to be able to hoist something, some sort of recognition of accomplishment for them with all that money they have, all those stars they have there. But going with the NFL now, and again, the way that I bet, okay, there's it being a 3%er, and that's over a year, making money long term over a year. And I've learned a lot, man. I've dug into this hard and changed my philosophy a few times, because someone who's good is always learning, right? If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. So you always want to learn from people. You always want to, learn from yourself, most importantly, too. And two things that I imply when I bet is I look at EV, positive EV, expected value. And if you put your bets into the EV pool, okay, expected value, you hear me talk about that a lot, but some of you guys are new here. That means finding a discrepancy within the market. You're going to be profitable long term, okay? So in other words, if 5 or 6 sports books have a line at such and such, and a different one has it here, you want to back the majority of the books, and you shop it, and you find the right price, okay? We're not talking Iron Mike yet. Let's hope he knocks out Jake. I do, but he's 58, man. I don't know what 47 feels like. He's 58. I don't know. What's going on, Dave? But that's it. EV. I look at EV, the expected value discrepancies within the book, and especially not so much with props, but in terms of sides, okay, what team's going to win, over-under is going to hit. I love betting against the public, and there's a couple websites that offer those numbers. TheSpread.com is a free one. That's very good if you guys don't have that. But TheSpread.com is fantastic. Gives you the public numbers. We're going to go over all that right now in the NFL and squeeze this into a half an hour. So that's it. EV, expected value. What books have the best price compared to the others? What books, like for example, today, Terry Rozier, we talked about, we have his under 16 and a half points. I got it on DraftKings for -125. Pinnacle had it at -152. Pinnacle had had plus money on his under. Now I talk about at redundancy, the 3 big books, Circa, Pinnacle, and Bookmaker. Those are the 3 ones that don't limit heavy bettors, okay? So those are the ones that kind of set the lines for everybody else. And then from there, all the different individual sports books set their own lines based on what Circa and Pinnacle and Bookmaker have. So I often compare things to Bookmaker, Circa, and Pinnacle. So Pinnacle had Terry Rozier at minus 152. Then I look at find minus 125. Absolutely. We smashed that. Now, does that mean it's a certain thing? No. But it means that if you play the EV bets more not than no, more often than not, I should say, you're going to be profitable. So we look at the EVs and we look at the public. We look at, most importantly, in terms of the public, okay, we look at where the money is coming in and what that did to the line. And here's a great example of that. Here's a great example of exactly what I'm talking about here. And then when I take those two things, I put them through my own kind of test and I come up with the bets I like. But here's a great example of what I'm talking about. And I'm from Buffalo, New York. And I'm not a Bills fan. I don't really like the Bills. I think they're a pretty obnoxious team, and people don't like to hear that. But I often bet against the Bills because I know them very well. I know them and follow them. People talk about all the time around here. But here's a good example of why the Bills are a good bet this week. Now, the Chiefs are in Buffalo this week, and I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. You can't even argue that. Okay. So it opened up with a line of 1. The Chiefs are getting +1. Okay. And you think to yourself, Patrick Mahomes with points, man, I can't pass that up, right? But then 75% of money came in on the Chiefs. 75% of money came in on Kansas City. So ordinarily what that's going to do, guys, is that's going to push the line because most books want an even amount of bets on both sides and they collect on the vig. What that means is, like, in a game that the book sees even, it'll be minus 110 on both sides. If they get the same amount of money on both sides, they collect on that 10% difference. Okay. So ordinarily what that's going to do, what up T? Ordinarily what that's going to do is that's going to push it over. So we have the Chiefs +1. 75% of money comes in on Kansas City. Ordinarily that would push it the other way so that people would take the Bills, but no, the line moved from +1 to +2. What does that tell you? That tells you that the books want more people to take Kansas City. Now, I said this before on TikTok, and someone says Vegas doesn't fix games. I know they don't fix games. Of course they don't, but they do better research than we do. They're billion-dollar books, okay? So they know more than we do. As much as we know, you and I know a lot about sports. We have fun chatting about it, but they spend all this money setting lines, okay? Everything we talked about is baked, is cooked into those lines. They know this stuff. But Vegas is saying, okay, look, we got +1.5 on the Chiefs. 75% of money came in on the Chiefs. Let's give them another one. Let's get people betting that side of it because they think that's the right side. They think the Bills are the right side to be on. So your Bills -2 are actually a good bet this weekend. That's how that works. So when we look at the spread and we look at the public money coming in, okay, we got Green Bay and Chicago. We're going to take a look at all these games here. Green Bay and Chicago, 75% of the public is on Green Bay, 25 on Chicago. It opened up at 2.5. Now it's 5.5. See, that's the way that normally works. When that much comes in on one side, it pushes the line the other way. That didn't happen with Buffalo and Kansas City. Okay. Now, what's going to happen here? What version of Caleb Williams is going to show up? I think that Green Bay's a side to be on here. I think the public's right here. 3 points is a big move in the point spread. I think the right side to be on is Green Bay. I think that they have a very good defense, and very good defenses against rookie quarterbacks we saw last night. Jayden Daniels is a tough thing to do. So I like Green Bay here. Cleveland and New Orleans, 65% of the money on New Orleans. Okay. I have a prop for this game too for you. But 65% of the public on New Orleans, 35 on Cleveland, opened at 2, and now it's 1. And the price flipped a little bit too. Now the -1 is -105. My prop here, Elijah Moore, Cleveland, over 3.5 receptions. This is something I identified for you guys. I know I was going live. I want to make sure I get ahead of it for you. But this is something that is over 3.5 receptions. You can get great value on that. Okay. He's a guy that Jameis Winston likes. He likes him. And that offense is a lot different. It's a lot different with him. And with Nick Chubb back, that Cleveland defense is starting to play a little better. I think that New Orleans is terrible. I like Cleveland here. I think the public's wrong. And then this one. So do I think it's better to wait to bet than? Good question. For example, is it off the bet opening lines? That's a great question. Someone said in the comments, is it best to wait to bet? And here's my answer. And this is a tried and true formula. If you're betting the underdog, it's normally best to wait. If you're betting the favorite, it's best to get in early because typically, and this isn't 100% of the time, but typically what happens is take a good team against a bad team, the public is going to be on the favorite. Okay. So in the case of, say, the Vikings and the Jaguars, if you're on the Viking side, it's best to go early because, say, that opened at -7.5, it's probably going to move to 8.5. So if you're going with the favorites, you're going to want to go early. If you're betting on the underdog, it's best to wait to right before kickoff because that line is going to be a little bit better for you as it gets close to that. That's a very good question. Now, again, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, that's how it works. So we got Rams now, 65% of the public on the Rams, 35% on New England, opened at 4. Now it's 4.5. So they gave New England a half point here. This is a situation too where I think that people are logo shopping a little bit. I think that New England tends to play teams a little bit tougher than people think. I think they have a good front seven, they have a good run D, and I think that this is a game I'm staying away from. But if I had to take a side, I'd take the 4.5. That 4 is a key number, 21-17. That 4.5 gives you a win. I would take New England, but I'm staying away. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. This is super interesting here, and here's why. It's a 3-point spread. Okay. And the books are smart. They know that the way these divisional games are played, throw the records out. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, it's a 3-point spread, not 3.5, not 2.5, not 4, not 4.5. It's a field. They think it's gonna be a field goal game, possibly overtime, possibly 24-21 the fourth quarter. This has push written all over it. And we have 41% of the public on Baltimore, 59% on Pittsburgh. What's interesting here is it didn't budge, man. The line didn't budge. The over-under didn't budge. They're saying pick your shot because they think that probably it's going to even up and that money will come in on Baltimore and, make that difference up for them. But this is a stay away game, an interesting spot. This is a spot where the books are planted. They don't want to move. There's sometimes when books, there are hundreds of books, right? And if you see the majority of books move in one direction with their lines and with the prices, but another book stays still, that's called being stale. This is a situation when they want to exploit the stale books. This is not a situation where the books are stale. This is a situation where they like right where they are with a field goal on either side of it. Stay away from Baltimore, Pittsburgh, but enjoy watching that game. Las Vegas in Miami, 30% of people on the Raiders, 70% of people on the Dolphins. Open at 6.5, now 7.5 because they scored a touchdown because the Dolphins look a little bit better. Okay. I prefer here. I think the public's wrong. I don't think that the Dolphins are 7.5 points better than Las Vegas. I think they're 7 points better than Las Vegas. So what I would do here, I would take the touchdown plus. I'd take Vegas here. I'd side with 30% of the public and fade 70%. Jacksonville, Detroit, 17% on Jacksonville, 83% on Detroit. Opened at 10, and now it's a 14-point spread. Do you think Detroit is 14 points better than Jacksonville? Yes. But do you think that 14 points is a ton to give to an NFL team? Yes. Now, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is back or not. They probably won't tell us that until about Sunday at noon. But this is also a stay away spot. I'm just giving you the numbers because we like to talk about it, but I'd stay away here. Minnesota, Tennessee, 81% of the public on Minnesota, 19% on Tennessee. Okay. Opened at 1, now it's 6 is Minnesota. 6 points better than Tennessee, yes, but it's tricky. Tennessee has one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're up there in the tops in terms of points allowed, in terms of rushing yards allowed, and in terms of passing yards allowed. I don't think it's a bad idea. Man, I don't know. Minnesota, and my buddy T-Bone knows this. I think Minnesota was overhyped. Remember the first week of the season when the Saints came out and thumped the Panthers and thumped the Cowboys, and people had the Saints on their Super Bowl? Kind of the same thing happened with Minnesota, but it took 4 weeks to happen. I think they're overhyped. I think that 6 is a pretty fair line here. I'd stay away. but I don't think that Minnesota is that good. I think 81% bets on them is kind of foolish on the public's part. Seattle, San Francisco, 47% on Seattle, 53 on San Fran. Opened at 9. Now it's 6.5 because Seattle is exactly what we thought, but San Fran is fumbling a little bit. We know that. That's a stay away. That's right, T. In the comments. But Seattle, San Fran, 7 points. That Seattle defense, I'm a little disappointed in. I thought they'd be a little bit better with Christian McCaffrey back. I don't know how much work he's going to get again this week. San Fran's a tough team because they've been playing things a little bit tighter than you like and you think. I think that the 9 is a pretty good line that it opened with. 6.5 might be a little bit low. In this game, I would take Seattle 6.5 because I think they can, I think they can keep it within 6. Atlanta 64% of the public, and Denver 36% of the public. Opened at 3.5. Now it's 2. Denver has a very good front seven. Okay. Denver has a very good front seven, not so good against the pass. What does Atlanta do very well? Atlanta passes the ball very, very well. Now, I have a prop for you in this game too, and it kind of leads into exactly what I've been talking about in regard to this game. So I think that Denver can shut the run down, but Bijan Robinson, okay, coming out of the backfield, over 21.5 receiving yards over this in 7 straight games. I think it's going to be a spot where Kirk Cousins dumps it off. That rush comes in hard. That front seven, no one works harder, man, than that Denver front seven on game day. When they come in hard, I think it's going to be a lot of dump off game to Bijan Robinson. So I like Bijan Robinson's over receiving yards in this one. For a side, I think Atlanta covers. I think they can beat them by 3.5 to 2 because Denver's playing better. Atlanta's playing worse than they have been. But I think that Atlanta covers the 3. I like that. If it's as long as it's 2.5, I would take Atlanta and lay the points. Buffalo, Kansas City, we talked about that. 81% of the public on Kansas City, 19% on Buffalo. But the line moved from giving Kansas City 1 to giving Kansas City 2. That has bet against the public written all over it. Take the Buffalo Bills here. Cincinnati and the Chargers. One of the most interesting games of the week to me on Monday night. Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. Now, it's a difference of philosophies here, okay? Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, they want to pound it, okay? Joe Burrow and the Bengals want to pass it. Here's the difference, though, okay? Here's the difference, is that the Chargers can throw it. The Bengals can't run it. And if you look at all the different units, special teams on both sides, offense on both sides, defense on both sides, the glaring weakness on all 6 sides of that, 3 on each, special teams, offense, defense, the glaring weakness is Cincinnati's defense. So I think that LA has their way in this game. I would take the Chargers money line, most likely, okay? 83% of the public on Cincinnati. It's funny because 83% of the public was against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. But the public has this thing where the last thing they saw is the only thing you saw, right? And that's not true. That's not true in betting, but the books like when people think that way. So take the Chargers here. And also, here's a prop in this game. Take J.K. Dobbins over 13.5 rushing attempts over this. Over 13.5 rushing attempts over this in 8 straight games. All right. They're going to want to control the clock. Cincinnati has a tough time stopping the run. J.K. Dobbins over 13.5. Don't parlay it. And also take the Chargers on the money line. Here comes a question. Thoughts on 1.5 field goal props. It's made him the most money all season. I think that field goal props can be very good, especially with teams that have a hard time in the red zone. The problem is that they're boring. That's why a lot of people don't do more of them, but I think they're actually very good. With kicker props, I tend to bet more of the over field goals, over 1.5 field than over points. Because sometimes you see like over 6.5 points for this kicker, that kicker. You're kind of relying on extra points. Then if teams struggle in the red zone, they're not going to get the extra point opportunities, but they will get the field goals. So why not? My point is that if they're going to get the over points total for kickers, they're probably going to be the over field goals. I do like those a lot. Let's see. The Bulls. So, a couple more props that I want to talk about. And I'm a big Chargers fan, and not just because of that. Like I said, I bet on my favorite against my favorite teams all the time and players, and I bet on players I hate, teams I hate. My favorite team is the one that makes me money, baby, one that turns me green. But Lad McConkey, speaking of the Chargers, over 4.5 catches. Okay, I talked about the Chargers controlling the game, putting their will on the Bengals, but they're going to have to throw the ball a little more than they normally do. Lad McConkey's been the guy for Justin Herbert. He can run those short routes, man. Justin Herbert, he likes those. So Lad McConkey, I like. I like Matt Stafford over 1.5 touchdown passes. How often do I do in-game? How often do I do in-game betting? Not that often. My pal T-Bone's very good with in-game bets. He follows the flow of it, and is very good and precise at identifying what good in-game bets are. But it's not that one is better than the other. But for me, my work, my research is done pre-game. It's done before game. So for me to hop in and bet in-game, I'm going in blindly. I'm going in something that's not my forte, not my specialty. What makes me good is my work ahead of the game. And I like to let the game unfold and let all the work that I did ahead of time kind of play into the outcome. So I don't bet a lot of end games. I don't. Bowler's out, backup's got the hips. Yeah. You guys like in-game betting? So we got like 4 minutes left, guys. So a couple props in the NBA that I want to get to tonight too. I'll leave it with that because we talked NFL. We got through every game like I wanted to. But there's some in-game prop. There's some props tonight for the NBA I didn't get to. One of them is RJ Barrett over 5.5 rebounds, minus 105 on FanDuel. Got some massive EV on that. Pinnacle has that minus 138. Pistons, Raptors. It's an interesting game. Pistons are favored. I'm a big Pistons fan. Pistons are finally favored, so that feels good for us. Do you do the Monday night game? Yeah, we do the Monday night game. Absolutely. Let's see, did you do the Monday night game? So we did Monday night game last week, and we had the Dolphins, man. We were against the public. We had the Dolphins. We smashed that pretty good. It was awesome. I will do this Monday night. Oh, did you do the Monday night game? Probably for right now in this video. Yeah. Chargers, Bengals. I'm on the Chargers. I'm on J.K. Dobbins over 13.5 rushing attempts, and I'm on Lad McConkey over 4.5 catches. I like all those, not the parlay, but individual bets. So we talk A.J. Barrett over rebounds. He's a berserker. He's a hustle stat guy. Oh, is that game Sunday night? What's a Monday night game then? My bad, brother. Oh, Bengals, Chargers are Monday night or Sunday night. But one more. Oh, Texans and Cowboys. 7-point spread. Stay away, brother. I would stay away. That Cowboys team, they're not good. People logo shop on them, and they expect them to be what they were last year. They're not. But also, we had the Texans plus 4.5 in that hit last game. But CJ Stroud does not look comfortable without his guys. I know Nico Collins should be back this week, but it's a battle of Texas. But I would stay away, bro. Don't just bet for the sake of betting. There's a ton in there on Sunday and Sunday night, as you pointed out for me. Thank you. Chargers, Bengals that we can take. Stay away from the Cowboys and Texans game, man. If you bet that game, stay away. T-Bone says stay away. You don't want to mess with that. But I got one more NBA prop for you tonight. And it's Tyus Jones' Phoenix under 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists against Oklahoma City. Now, it's interesting because Kevin Durant's out, Bradley Beal's out. So who's going to score for them, right? Nurkic might be out. Who's going to score for them? Well, Devin Booker's props at 29.5, but it's moving like crazy. I would stay away. Book, you never know. He can get 55. He can get 7. Okay. But Tyus Jones isn't a scorer. Okay. And OKC plays the best defense in the association. Tyus Jones, fade him tonight under 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Draymond Green over Rocket Sauces. Draymond Green over and Corey Kispert over For 12 and a half points. I like that, man. I like that. Kispert can shoot the rock. That's a good one too for my boy David. But yo, guys, it's been fun. Our half an hour's up. Let me know real fast before I go. Do you like this? Should we do more of it? Should we do every weekday at 3? Let me know, man. You can still comment when the videos are over. I have a good time. I appreciate all the support. What you can do for me is hit the subscribe button for the YouTube channel and become a member. Silverbackjungle.com. It's $1 a day. You're going to make money, man. We haven't had a non-profitable month. I appreciate you guys, man. I'll see you soon.